Hello everyone, welcome to your English class. So my dear students, today we are going to start with the 7th chapter of a reader book, that is The Open Window by Saki, means H. Munro. His pen name is Saki. H. Munro's The Open Window brilliantly portrays how one's nerves affect his or her personality. As Frampton embarks on a trip intended as a nerve cure, he finds himself in an unfamiliar situation that ultimately has a negative effect on his seemingly nervous personality. In this story, there are three main characters. One is Vera, second is Mr. Nuttall, and third is Mrs. Stapleton. Mr. Nuttall is a visitor to village. He suffers from a nerve condition. He comes with a letter of introduction from his sister, and by nature he is quite gullible. Next character is Vera. Vera was Mrs. Stapleton's niece, and she was a young lady of 15, and she was adept at telling tall tales, means stories, and by nature she is very polite and gracious. She proves to be very adept at telling stories and having ready explanations to cover up any deficiencies, means she is very clever at telling stories. Now let's start with the chapter. In this story, Frampton Nuttall, who is suffering from nervousness, goes to a calm and quiet place for his treatment. He calls on a family friend there. There he meets a 15-year-old girl whose name was Vera. Vera was very calm and confident girl. She tells Frampton that her aunt, that is Mrs. Stapleton, will come soon downstairs. And in the meanwhile, she told Mr. Nuttall a very cunning story. He had with him the letters of introduction given to him by his sister. His sister told him that in the countryside he will meet only a few people. Now Vera asked Mr. Nuttall whether he knows many people there. Mr. Nuttall replied to her that he did not know anybody here. His sister, who visited the place 4 years back, gave him letters of introduction to some of the people. Mr. Nuttall also said that he only knew her aunt's name and address. Now Vera told him that about 3 years ago, her aunt's husband and two brothers have gone out for shooting. Vera pointed to a large window that opened in the lawn. She told him that they all had gone out from that window and they never returned. The wet spongy ground swallowed them, and also their bodies were never recovered. This story was made by Vera. Further, she said that Mrs. Stapleton, who always keeps the window open until it is dark in the hope that they would come back someday. Sometimes Vera also feels that someday they will come through that window along with their dog as they did before. In the meantime, Mrs. Stapleton came and apologized for being late. She said that her husband and brothers had gone for shooting. Mrs. Stapleton told Nuttall that she has kept the window open for them to enter into the house. Basically, why she kept the window open? Because she does not want to spoil the carpet with their muddy shoes, means with the muddy shoes of the husband and her brothers. Now Nuttall tried to change the topic, but she continued talking about shooting and shortage of birds. Mr. Nuttall realized that her eyes were directed to the window and the lawn and was paying only a little attention to him. Suddenly, she looked towards the window and cried that they were on time for tea. Now Mr. Frampton shivered with fear and he turned towards Vera to express sympathy. But she was looking through the window with horror in her eyes. Mr. Nuttall swung in his chair and looked towards the window. He saw three figures carrying guns walking across the lawn towards the window, and a brown-colored dog was also with them. Nuttall hastily means quickly, came out from there. The man came in through the window and asked Mrs. Stapleton, who rushed out of the house. Then she said that he was Frampton Nuttall, who talked only about his illness. and Mr. Nuttall ran as if he saw some ghosts. However, Vera said that he was afraid of dogs, means she was giving an excuse. She was just covering up the story why Mr. Nuttall has gone. She said that he was afraid of dogs as once a group of dogs chased him into a graveyard. Mr. Nuttall spent a night in a newly dug grave and the dogs crawling all around him. I hope the story is clear to you. So for better understanding, go through the chapter properly. Thank you and have a nice day.